Today we're going to be talking about defensiveness. This presentation was created by Sheikh Ahmed, Genova Constantine, and Jocelyn Almeida. So what exactly is defensiveness? It is the unconscious effort to protect one's own image that he or she feels is being attacked. This can involve different forms of attack, such as physical or verbal threats. In the opposing perspective, each person can present a different self or face to others. For example, you may act differently in front of your boss and show a more serious side, while in front of your friends you show a more relaxed and funny side. Take, for example, a hospital setting where a patient has just passed due to a mistake made by one of the working physicians. The results of this dilemma would usually end in an argument involving tension among the coworkers and a defensive and opposing response. There are three types of defensive reactions: attacking the critic, distorting critical information, and avoiding dissonant information. Cognitive dissonance is when there is an uncomfortable tension caused by the holding of two conflicting thoughts at once. For example, when one's presenting self is attacked and he or she is not willing to accept the opposing judgment. So how does one eliminate cognitive dissonance? They merely accept the judgment. Here is an example of cognitive dissonance involving two doctors arguing over a patient's treatment.
Look at her arm.
I told you it was an infection.
We fixed the infection.
Well, apparently not. I asked you for broad spectrum. You put her on the bare minimum. It's a good thing you failed to become a mom because you suck at it.
Got to stop the surgery. She doesn't have necrotizing fasciitis.
Oh, good.
She's got erythropoietic protoporphyria. She's allergic to light. It's genetic. Either parent could have carried it.
I know what it is. Infection fits better.
She gets worse every time she goes under surgical lights. Dad takes her outside.
Give her a shot, too. She swallow a flashlight?
Stop the surgery.
Get the hell out of my way.
No, I'm...
The first defensive mechanism I'm going to talk about is attacking the critic. The counterattack can take several forms, which include verbal aggression and sarcasm. Verbal aggression involves a direct verbal attack which puts blame on the critic. The person fails to acknowledge the truth about the original judgment. Sarcasm, on the other hand, involves the redirection of a perceived threat to his or her presenting self with ironic comments.
Did Dr. Reed get a chance to talk to you about Mrs. Gellin?
Yeah, she explained my mistake, and she told me it was a pretty common one.
Did she also get a chance to tell you that we're passing out the world's worst doctor awards and that you're a finalist?
You don't have to be such a jerk about it.
Oh, thanks. Your tiny surgeon brain may now go back to its regularly scheduled program.
He's not going to stop until you go.
The second defense reaction is distorting critical information. This mechanism involves altering information to leave the self intact. There are three ways to accomplish this reaction: rationalization, compensation, and regression. Rationalization involves creating logical but untrue reasons for behavior that one would find unacceptable. Compensation involves focusing on a specific strength to reduce the focus on a weakness. This ultimately becomes a negative when it is used insincerely. Regression involves avoiding attack by using terms such as can't to play helpless when more appropriately the term that should be used is won't. The individual usually tends to avoid responsibility due to their unwillingness to perform. The third and final defensive reaction is avoiding dissonant information. This mechanism basically involves the ignoring or avoiding information completely. Physical avoidance involves avoiding the more obvious people who present a possible attack to one's presenting self. Repression is when one mentally blocks out a disturbing thought of dissonant information. Apathy involves acknowledging undesired information, but acts as if it does not exist. And finally, displacement is when one vents out their anger at others instead of the attacker. Thank you for listening to our presentation on defensiveness.